Welcome to the Show Me KC Schools podcast, where we support families making well-informed decisions about their child's education journey. I'm your host, Nina Ward, and with me today is my lovely teammate, Danielle Dispenza, who is our Director of School Navigation. Hi, Danielle.
Hey, Nina. Happy to be here.
How are you today?
I am well.
Surviving the Kansas City winter.
That's right. It's pretty gray out there, but I like hanging out with you, so it'll make it all better.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here with me today. We're hoping to kind of talk about Kansas City school options. And sometimes that feels really, really heavy for folks, and it's a lot, and it can be really overwhelming. So I kind of want to start off with understanding, what does it mean to have school options? What does that mean? We hear that kind of tossed around, school choice, school options. Give us a breakdown of just what that means.
Yeah, well, I think why it's so confusing is because it's different than the way that many of us grew up. And so sometimes it helps to kind of explain that, right? So for those of us who grew up in a suburban or more of a rural school setting, we attended essentially public feeder schools. And what that means, and the reason why we say feeder, is because your school is going to be designated by your address and where you live. You're going to be assigned an elementary school. It's likely that that elementary school and other elementary schools will then all feed into a middle school. And then from there, that middle school will feed into a high school.
Gotcha.
And so that whole pathway was already predetermined based on our address in those areas.
It's similar to like what we see in the suburbs now. So
Yep.
I have a friend that's in Lee Summit.
100%.
They just go to the school district and their school is already assigned to them.
Right. And so if a family wants to explore an option outside of that public school option, it's generally always just going to be a private school. And private schools have a tuition that's, part of their school model, and families will then pay for that out of pocket.
Right.
But in the state of Missouri, and honestly, Nina, in major cities nationwide, we have additional school options within the Kansas City public school boundaries and the St. Louis public school boundaries. And I think it's just good to name that. These are the two areas within our state where you're going to see those school options. But of course,
Gotcha.
Show Me KC Schools is going to focus right here in Kansas City, which means, what are the school options here in Kansas City, right? Well, we try to break that down and simplify it as much as possible. So we definitely have that traditional feeder school pattern within Kansas City Public Schools, and that's our public school district. But Kansas City Public Schools also operates signature schools. And I know you're familiar with signature schools, right, Nina?
I am. I actually graduated from a signature school. Shout out to Paseo.
Yep. Go Pirates,
Go
right?
Pirates.
Go Pirates. And a signature school is a public school. It's open to anyone, but it's going to have that additional curriculum that has a focus around it. So for you as a Paseo alum, Paseo is the Fine and Performing Arts School. So we know that students who attend Paseo Middle or High School are really going to do an even deeper dive into that. And we'll talk about what those other signature school options can look like later. But from there, within these public school boundaries, we also have public charter schools. And currently in Kansas City, we have about 20 public charter school operators. So that means, Nina, that if you have a little that's going to start kindergarten, you have a lot of public school options alone. In fact, between that one designated neighborhood school for your address, those signature school options that are operated by Kansas City Public Schools, and then all of those public charter schools, you have over 20 different options.
That's a lot.
It's so many.
That is a lot.
It's so many. And
and then we have private, right?
And we haven't even talked about the fourth and fifth, school option, which is faith-based private schools, which are exactly like they sound. Those are going to be private schools that are attached to churches or have a religious affiliation and are going to have religion as part of their core curriculum during the school day. And then independent private schools. Private schools sans the religion part.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, it's a lot, right?
That is a lot. So just so we can recap, we have Kansas City Public School District,
Yes.
They have neighborhood schools and signature schools.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have public charter schools and faith-based private schools and independent private schools.
That's right. And we have all of that labeled and explained on our website and within our printed school guide. So don't feel like you have to have it all memorized just from listening to this short little snippet.
I think that's a great segue into talking a little bit about Show Me KC Schools. So can you talk a little bit about the history and why Show Me KC Schools came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an amazing founder, Trisha Johnson, and I mean, she's a parent, right? And she and her family found themselves sitting around the dining room table, talking to neighbors, talking to friends, and asking the same question that so many families here in Kansas City have asked, which is, where's your kid gonna go? Yeah. Where are they gonna go? What school have you looked into? Do you know anything about that school down the street? And you know what I love about Trisha is she is a problem solver.
Yeah.
And so she's going through this process and she's realizing that this information is not centralized anywhere.
Yeah. You kind of just have to go to each school to figure it out, right? And learn all the information.
That's right. And I always say, like, it is overwhelming to have 15 browsers open on your computer screen where you're pinging back and forth between one school to another and trying to take notes. And then honestly, Nina, who has time for that?
That's a lot.
I mean, I have 2 kids. There's people out there that got more.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. My one is enough for me.
That's right. We're in this the same. We're in good company. And so Trisha created Show Me KC Schools, and we are exactly what she envisioned at that point in time, which was a one-stop shop for families to be able to get the information that they need and feel like they can make a well-informed decision. So I personally like to call us purveyors of information. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We're putting it out there.
And helping families understand all their options and also like what to do with it, right? And so that's the other thing. Like you have all of these options, be it public or private, but then it's like, then what do I do with that? Right? Like, what does that mean? I have all these options. Do I just listen to what my friends say and just go with a school that, they recommend that works for them? I know just as a parent, with a high school student now, it's been a lot just kind of navigating all of that, right? And so when she was going into elementary school, we're kind of talking to people, figuring out, but we were kind of at a loss of like, how do we even find what works and what does that mean, So I think one of the things that I've just been really, really happy about since being on the team at Show Me KC Schools is just the work that we do to empower parents to choose what works for them, right? Because like we can have these conversations and those are great with other people, but recognizing like what someone needs for school may differ than what I need or what my student needs from a school.
And for a lot of different reasons, right? I mean, navigation is one of the things that we've built into the programming of Show Me KC Schools. And I think it's so important because we've tried to put all of this information where it's available to families. We've tried to simplify it and break it down into steps. But at the end of the day, with any complicated process, and let's be honest, Nina, this is a complicated process, right?
Yeah.
Is we found that we need someone to be able to lean into to help us get where we need to be. And so the dynamic of a household is something that I always encourage families to talk about with whomever is making this decision, right? Where do you work? Where do you live within these Kansas City public school boundaries? Do you already have a kiddo in a school or is this your firstborn? Like these are the things that I encourage people to think about. Do you need your kiddo to ride a bus, Nina?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what time do you have to be to work? The actual household logistics should definitely be one part of this conversation. Because I know that my ability to get my kid to school or to get them picked up or to get to basketball practice, you and I are both running around every single day, picking up from practices with middle and high schoolers now in our household. So I just encourage families to think about those things. But then from there, what's amazing is that we do have schools that are unique and different than, again, maybe the way that I grew up out in Raytown, where it was that pre-designated, public school. Well, now we have schools that are, Montessori. If that's
Yeah.
something that you're really interested in, foreign language, and again, going back to the performing arts, we have public charter schools that have really built out this amazing project-based learning.
Yeah.
And so I think that's that second part of it is, where do you feel yourself going and wanting to check out and learn more about? And if you're not interested in any of those additional curriculums being a part of your child's school day, that's okay too.
Right.
But that's a little bit of what that pathway can look like. Like, let's think about our logistics. Let's think about what we're interested in, and whether we're looking for kindergarten, middle, or high.
Right. Right. And I know we're going to spend some time a little bit later kind of going through what that search process looks like. I know sometimes when I'm scrolling on social media, spending more time on it than I should, I do see some of these conversations going up, right? And so oftentimes I feel like what parents are asking me is, what's the best school?
Yes.
Who's number one? Who's out here killing it? Like, where do I need to sign my student up? And so one of the things that I'm trying to remind families is, like, you get to decide, right? Like, what the best school is for your student, because that may vary. I know we've had some conversations internally about, what it means to assess MAP scores and things like that, and all this data that we can get and we can pull on schools, and like, what picture is that telling us, right? But that may mean something different for different people depending on who that school is serving, right? And so I think that's why it's really important for families to understand, like, I get to assess what I need for my student, what my student needs, and what the best school is for them. Not just, what some website ranked, as the best school in Kansas City. Like, I get to decide what's best for my student.
Right. Yeah. Really, really diving into that. I mean, so Show Me Casey schools, we don't rank schools. We're not putting a 1 to 5 star on our website next to schools that, so that quick, direct is not going to be what you're going to find, because we feel so passionately about families figuring out what's most important to them.
Yeah.
And to your point, Nina, so we list all of the, we've created each school profile so that it does have the same information. So we're going to have those performance data points on there for the most recent year. They're broken down into different capacities. But again, that may not be, and it isn't the only piece of the puzzle. It's
right.
just one piece.
Right.
And that's really, really important. And the person next to you is not going to choose the school for the same reasons. And we encourage families to get into schools.
Yeah.
Go tour.
Yeah.
Get a firsthand experience, interact with people face to face, and see a classroom in action. That's really where you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
100%.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to break here. And then when we come back, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into what that search process can really look like for families, and how they can kind of get to the nitty gritty of, like, determining what's best for their student.
Awesome. I love that.
All right, and we are back. We are discussing what it means to have school options in Kansas City and how to find the best school for our student. So we talked a little bit about what it means to have school options and how that can really empower parents to find the school that's best for their child. And so what I'm hoping to do now is kind of shift into learning a little bit about how to conduct that search, right? Like, what do we need to do to find the best school for our student? So if we could talk a little bit about, like, why do we need to search for schools? Like, why is that important?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I think, Nina, that Show Me Casey Schools feels that it's important is to really be able to have those options. You first have to understand them. And lastly, you have to know where to apply or what that looks like.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is all a moot point, right? If I don't know or understand that, then the options really aren't options.
Right. So it's like accessing those options, right? So I
Yes.
have to know what's available so I can figure out what's best for me and then be able to access it and actually apply and attend.
Exactly. And so we've broken that down into 4 different steps. And learn is, what we say is the step 1, learn. Learning and understanding exactly how we got here and what these options are. And what's great, Nina, is that if you're listening to this podcast right now, you are literally already on your pathway.
Step 1.
Check. Yep.
You did it. Good job.
Well done.
Gold star.
That's right. And we want families to dive in. We want them to listen whenever they can. We want them to explore the website because part of that feeling of empowerment is really understanding first and foremost, and then realizing that you can help other people as well. I mean, we're all in this together, trying to raise kids. Best we can.
Woo! As best we can.
The challenges can be there. I know my 5th grader woke up this morning and he is so grumpy in the morning. So again, recognizing that even just getting them out the door
is an accomplishment
every day.
Yeah,
just celebrating those successes. So yeah, we're learning about what all of this is. You're listening right now, so congratulations. You're well on your way, and you're being super proactive, Nina, which is something that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
We really want for families to understand Show Me Casey Schools, that we're here, that we exist, and that we've done all of this pre-work for them, because being proactive definitionally is where we want people to be on this journey instead of reactive.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit. Danielle and I share a workspace, and so I often get to hear some of the conversations that she's having with families, and you do such a great job. You're so warm.
Thank you.
And understanding.
I try.
But I do notice that a lot of the phone calls you get are typically from families who are already enrolled in a school and maybe had something happen or just figured out that it wasn't the best fit for their student. And now they're like, oh, I'm going to go to Show Me Casey Schools because they have navigators and they can kind of help me figure out what another option could be. So I think what I'm hearing you say kind of about that proactive work is like, we're available for you to do that on the front end, right? We're here for you. If you are enrolled in a school and you need to transfer for some reason, we're happy to support you in that. But we really want to help support KC families in figuring out the best option before they enter into a school system so that they can be set up for success.
100%. And the thing is that this information is not exclusive to just families.
Yeah.
Right. And we really need to shout that from the rooftops, share the good news. The thing about nonprofits here in Kansas City is we have a lot of them. We're one of them.
There's so many.
There's so many. And so what can come with that is sometimes we actually don't even know where to send individuals. But if I can share a story, Nina, I mean, you bring up a really great point. 2 things. First of all, I've been contacted by human resources managers, directors that say, I have my top candidate is here for an interview. I know they have a family. Can you meet with them? That's in real life. That has happened, right? That's
Absolutely.
Proactive. We want our professional community to know that, as well as our families that are already here within these Kansas City public school boundaries. And furthermore, I got a phone call again from a parent at one point in time. And being proactive doesn't necessarily mean figuring out pre-K or kindergarten.
Right.
100%, right? But this particular family was moving to Kansas City and happened to take a seat at a school that was the first offer, that they got, and they thought that everything was going to be great. It's a great school, Nina, and it works really well for some students. But this particular student, they were, they had transferred from a high school where they were participating in band and held like a high seat and so this one school that they ended up at and started school at didn't necessarily have all of the opportunities that student was already taking advantage of at their previous high school.
Gotcha.
And that's a really great example of like wanting families to have that information in front of them,
Right.
to make a well-informed decision.
Right.
Because if you've got a kiddo who's participating in band and or interested in doing that, we want to make sure that we're connecting you with your school options that are going to have that available.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the steps. So we always kind of go over these steps that we like to use to help families as they're navigating the school options and deciding what works best for their students. So we talked a little bit about learn. What's our next step?
Our next step is going to be searching those options. And so that's really every single time. That's where I'm popping people back over to showmekcschools.org.
Gotcha.
I know we'll have it linked up in the notes, but it's there, and I want families to go to it and see that we've put all the tools that we're talking about today. These 4 steps. Parent testimonials, the performance, facts about schools, they're all listed here and they're all labeled. So when we come to the Show Me KC Schools website, Nina, first and foremost, because of course this is a fresh, updated site, we've tried to make it work better for families. You have a couple of different options. You can either choose the grade levels that you're interested in from pre-K all the way through high school. You can also just go ahead and enter your address. Right now, I'm going to just take a peek at those elementary school options. I didn't do any filters at all, but over on the left-hand side of the screen, I can filter that down however I see fit. I can choose the specific grade level that my one student is in, or the 3 grade levels that all of my kiddos are in. I'm going to bring us down here to, right off the bat, Academy for Integrated Arts, or better known as AFIA. I'm just going to feature them to really explain what these school profiles mean and how you can explore them. So you can see that we've tried to hit you with some quick facts right off the bat. AFIA has before and after care. We can also see labeled very clearly that they are a public charter school. They're pre-K through 6th grade, and they have transportation. This is good. Okay, these are meeting some of my personal needs. I'm going to go ahead and click through on that red button that says school profile, and it's going to take me to even more information about Academy for Integrated Arts. We have tried to put photos of all of these schools or link up video tours. We're all in a COVID.
Oh, the pandemic.
I mean, could we get through a conversation without referencing it?
I just want to say we survived. Let's take a shout out.
That's
for that.
right.
We survived.
That's right. We're here. We did online school with our kids. Shout out to all of those families
We made
who
it.
were, going through that process. We will forever be bonded on experiencing that. And so, during COVID, we were really pushing families to try to explore schools to the best of their ability with what we could offer them. So if there's a video tour, we've linked that up, and you can see right here, watch virtual tour for Academy for Integrated Arts. We have the email address for admissions linked. So we've really tried,
Awesome.
Nina, to load this in with all of the links and everything that we feel like you need to get started.
And that's going to have all our schools, right? And so we talked in the beginning about Kansas City Public School District, our charter schools, our private schools. Families are going to be able to go to that Show Me KC Schools website and see those school profiles for all of their school options.
That's correct. And the reason too why, it's not to be boastful, though we did work pretty hard on this website.
It was a lot of work.
There was a lot of work put into it. But we feel like it's easier when the information is presented in the same format for every single school. So You got it. It is every single school is going to be laid out the same way. But we also want you to go over to their website and to see what they have going on.
Right.
All the photos that you're going to see on our Show Me KC Schools website and on those school websites are students, in real life students, Kansas City students that are there learning, teachers who are teaching. It's good stuff, Nina.
That's awesome. So we're learning about the education landscape in Kansas City. We're searching school options on the Show Me Casey Schools website and also looking at those individual schools' websites. And so then from there, what's the next step that we do in our process?
We want you to experience and engage. And you have experience in this under many different hats, right? From a parent hat, exploring those options for elementary, middle, and high. Yeah. And then also, from your professional experience of working in a school. And we say experience because it can look so many different ways.
Yeah.
I want you to check out the photographs. I want you to watch that quick virtual school tour if there's one available. Like I said earlier, going and stepping into a school, meeting with an administrator or school staff face to face, hearing how things, hearing the balls bouncing in the gym, like all of that is really so important and can give you a really great idea of what it feels like to be in that school every day. And that's going to get you closer to where you want to be. But Nina, as our director of programs, you also have a lot of different ways that families can engage and experience. So.
Absolutely. So Show Me Casey Schools definitely hosts tours where we feature and highlight different tours in the schools in the city. So families have that opportunity with a group to kind of come in, see the schools, learn about different things and programs that are happening. But one of the things we talk about a lot is, some families may not have the opportunity to take off during the day to go to a tour. We know some schools have been doing an amazing job of opening up their doors to group tours that we're hosting or allowing families to come in for individual tours that the schools coordinate. But some families just can't do that, right? They have to work, they can't take off. So it's completely understandable. So we also encourage families to attend different programming that the schools are putting on. We know KCPS does some great things with their showcase with performing arts and things like that. Some of our charter schools have different open house opportunities and different events where they welcome the community in. When you see those posts on social media and things like that, if it's a school that you're interested in after you've learned more and conducted your search, we really encourage families to go to those things, right? Go to those art gallery openings that they're having, go to those open houses, because it's a great opportunity, again, to come in, see the school, learn from some of the families and the staff members that are there. You mentioned talking to administrators and things like that. It's a really good opportunity to also connect with other families that are already there, and just kind of learn about their experience. And it's also really fun and cute to just see some kiddos performing and singing. It's always fun to see some student artwork.
That's right. We could use a little joy.
Yeah,
every day, especially on these great Kansas City days.
Oh my God, yeah. So we just really want to empower families to understand that there are different ways to experience. Mm-hmm. Even, like you said, if that means just getting on the website and looking at that virtual tour or looking at those photos. Like whatever you have the capacity to do, just want to encourage you to do it so you have some understanding of what you're walking into with the school, right?
Yep.
So we got learn, search, experience, and then what do we do?
That action item. It's really important.
Yeah, this is a big one.
This is the big one. We want you to apply. We want you to enroll. We want you to follow through with that for your student. And so, Nina, again, back to our website. When we're on these school profile pages, and we've got the search process up on the top, bar of our screen. We've got all of these different tabs under learn, search, experience, and then apply. And you can click on apply. You can go back. You can get that information that you need. But if I'm also on a school's profile, which this time for ease, I'll hop over to Academy Lafayette. Those A's are getting a lot of love today for that
Yeah, for
alphabetical order. But you can see that we've got Apply to Academy Lafayette. That hyperlink is going to exist on every single school profile. And, at the beginning of our discussion, Nina, we talked about why it's important to know the difference between Kansas City Public Schools that operates neighborhood and signature schools, those 20 public charter schools operators, and then the faith-based and independent private schools. The reason why it's important to understand those and then for them to be labeled is because that's how you know where to apply.
Yeah.
For Kansas City Public Schools, we're going to need to go to Kansas City Public Schools, enrollkc.org. That's where we will be able to automatically enroll in that neighborhood school where we're guaranteed a seat. No questions asked, doesn't matter what time of year it is. But we can also submit an application to say that we're interested in that foreign language school or Montessori school, depending on our kiddo's grade level. So really knowing that. And again, we've hyperlinked that for you. For our 20 public charter school operators, when you start compiling information, Nina, what happens is that sometimes you find how things aren't working.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that Show Me KC Schools figured out really, really quickly when we were putting all of the schools on one website is, so we have some options and it's a lot. And then we're making families work really, really hard to be able to apply to and enroll in all of these options. So right now, I've actually jumped over to School App KC. It's one of our programs.
Yeah.
We've tried to streamline that application process for those schools, and we're so excited to say that we have almost all of the public charter schools.
That is huge.
On this app,
that is huge. Years ago, just for context for some of our listeners, years ago, families had to go to each of those individual charter schools to submit an application if they were interested in enrolling in that school. And so we are so grateful that Show Me KC Schools came along and said, let's try to simplify this process a little bit, right? Let's get as many of these schools on one application as possible to help streamline this for families. And so that's a little bit about what we're talking about with that School App KC.
Right. And again, it's a program of Show Me KC Schools. And I mean, honestly, Nina, we both have experience with that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Your child is in high school now. I have a middle schooler, and Show Me KC Schools and a streamlined application process wasn't something that we had the opportunity to use.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. And so really trying to make this easy for families. The biggest takeaway is that we've put it all in one spot for you. We're going to get you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take you directly to that School App KC website or to Enroll KC. Or if it's one of those schools that doesn't participate or is an independent or faith-based private school, it's going to take you directly to their website.
Yeah.
So we've got you covered.
So doesn't matter what school. If we are interested, we go to Show Me KC Schools website. We can get to that school profile and we can get to that application, be it KCPS, Enroll KC, School App KC, or the school's immediate website where their application lives.
That's right.
That's
right.
Awesome. So that's a lot. We talked about learning, searching, experiencing, and then the biggest step, which is applying to the schools that we're interested in. That can be still really overwhelming for families, right?
Yeah.
So could you share maybe 3 quick things that a family could do if they really don't have the time to dig all into this, but they want to, get some information before applying? 3 things that they could do to aid them in this process.
Absolutely. Start asking questions. Every day we get up, we go to work, you go to church on Wednesday nights, or, wherever it is that you find yourself, at the park where kids are playing. Be inquisitive and ask questions of your fellow community members. Yeah. Where does your kiddo go to school? What do you know about this school? These are great questions to ask. You're going to get personal testimonials. And that doesn't mean that they have to come with the most weight behind them.
Right.
But sometimes it can just point you in the right direction of like, I didn't even know that there was a school around the corner. I live in this neighborhood. I'm going to look into that.
That's good.
Yeah. From there, not to, give myself a plug or my team a plug, but navigation, Nina, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Navigation is getting you on the right track. And my colleague, Trisha McGee, who we love, Trisha.
Love you. Shout out, Trisha.
That's right. Shout out to Trisha. We're available through a lot of different, capacities. We can meet you in person at a coffee shop if you have an opportunity for that. We're happy to do that. We can hop on a virtual call. Phone calls are always welcome. But Nina, our phone numbers are out there, and we'll include them in the show notes, right? Like,
absolutely.
Direct text message. Send me a message. Tell me that you're starting out. I can look all of this stuff up for you. I can find out what your neighborhood school is. If you're looking for schools that are close to your work or your home, we can start narrowing that down together. And that's part of my job. So let me help you get started.
That's awesome. And then I think the last thing would be the website, right? If you don't have time to go into schools and you don't have the opportunity to connect with people, looking at the website, we've done most of the work in compiling all this information to try to make it easier for families in this search process. And so we're always going to toot our horn with the website and always point families back to that. So asking our community members and people in our networks their experience connecting with the Show Me Casey Schools Navigator, and then accessing those websites, the Show Me Casey School website. It's going to be our quick things that you can do. You're trying to go through and search for the best school for your student. That was a lot. That was great.
Yes.
I do want to mention that we'll have these amazing resources in our show notes to include our school guide that families could get access to at your local library. We have them at schools. They're at churches, grocery stores. They're all over the place. But we have this great school guide that has the same information that's going to be on our website in terms of kind of that snapshot of the schools. We'll have that linked in our show notes, as well as our workbook. Can you talk a little bit about the workbook that we have available for families?
Yeah, I mean, basically the workbook is kind of taking the conversation we just had and laying it out for you and walking you through the process. So earlier I talked about like who's a part of this process. And we always say that, lean into someone, your partner, your spouse, perhaps it's your own parent, who you're leaning into. Sit down, have a conversation, and we've put all of these prompts together in one spot. And this is yours. These materials are yours. Write on them, highlight things, all of those thoughts. We've given you questions, Nina, to ask. I mean, we've talked so much about school tours, right? Yeah. But like, it's one thing to walk in, and then sometimes even myself, we freeze up.
Yeah. What do I say? What do I ask?
What do I ask? We've put down some idea prompts. We've listed out questions for you just to, again, like jumpstart that. Doesn't mean you have to stay on script.
Right.
It's just there as a resource for you. So hopefully families will find these resources helpful.
Yeah, I think they will. They're great. We have those available, physical copies. You're welcome to contact us. We'll have our information in the show notes, but we'll also have the digital copies available for families to access online, as well as links to our website and some of the other websites that we mentioned here today. Well, Danielle, I want to thank you. This is our very first podcast, and we're so excited. Thank you for joining me today to talk about Kansas City school options and how we navigate the school choice and school options in Kansas City. We know that this can be really overwhelming for families, so we're really happy that you and the navigation team at Show Me Casey Schools is available to support families with this.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
So happy to be here.
Show Me Casey Schools is committed to providing you with vital information that supports you while you support your child on their educational journey. Connect with us on social media at SMKCS and on YouTube at Show Me Casey Schools and on all your favorite podcast platforms.